to episode 15 of the Pack Homer podcast, brought to you by Waters and Mathis CPAs. If you want to, hey, we got some burnouts back here behind me. I'm on the road tonight. I'm literally sitting by the road too. But if you want to, I love this spot. If you want to run the IRS, visit WMCPAs.com. It's nice. We got the band back together. We got everybody here tonight, and we got our guest from IPS, Alex G. Appreciate you joining us, Alex.
Always, especially if we're going to get burnouts in the intro. That was.
Gosh,
that's tough. That's good.
We've been trying to get some background music. And I guess this guy tried to help us out. There ain't no telling what you might hear. Looks like Wesley's on the road tonight too, but glad to have everybody back together. Pack 29-19 after a 3-1 week where they just beat the bejesus out of Norfolk State 18-0 in the midweek. You know, I know not a quality opponent, but good to finally win a midweek game. And then last week I actually made mention that I would take a 2-1 series win over UVA, and I didn't want to be sitting on pins and needles, but I'd like to see us win a Sunday game, and we did that today. So that was pretty exciting. I'm going to just skip over the midweek game. I feel like we got a lot of things we can talk about tonight. And the midweek game was just an 18-0. It was a beat down versus a inferior opponent, but good to get a win. It actually hurt our RPI. We were hoping it would rain out. What did we fall, guys? Anybody know? Didn't we fall like 6 spots in the RPI?
Six.
Yeah, won 18-0 and fell 5 or 6 spots. Before we talk about our games, Wesley, or anyone who wants to volunteer and step in, has anybody got the rundown on the ACC scores this weekend? Because it's kind of getting real now. We probably can figure it out together. Florida State lost a series to Pitt.
Bad.
Georgia Tech over Duke.
Also bad.
Over Clemson.
For them.
Miami over Virginia Tech. Wake swept Clemson, right? Yep. Wake over Clemson. Miami over Virginia Tech. State,
Carolina,
of course, over
Carolina
UVA.
over Louisville.
Carolina swept Louisville. So
it's crowded at the top, man. It's crowded.
We got a little madness happening. So in our game, we'll start with game one real quick. We'll run through it. Game one against UVA, it really wasn't a pretty start to the game. It was kind of, Highfield kind of got hit around a little bit early, but then he settled in. He ended up throwing about 102 or 4 pitches. Is that right? He came out in the 7th to start the 7th. I guess the big blow in that game was a Butterworth bomb. And me and Adam were talking about that yesterday in the office. My man, I don't know how much he weighs, all 165 pounds of him, though. He knew he got every bit of it he could get. And a 3-run blast put us up. Got all 365 feet of it.
Tell you what I like the most about the Butterworth home run, though, is he turned to the dugout and said, "Let's freaking go. Let's hit the ball." He was the catalyst for that whole game, maybe the whole weekend.
Yeah,
that's what I liked about that, the energy that Butterworth had.
And then a big thing in that game, and it was kind of funny because we didn't end up needing him, but Jacob Duden came in and I guess I don't know if it counts as a save or not, but anyway, he came in and threw 3 innings to close out that ball game. My God, I know we were texting each other. How many freaking sliders did he throw in a row? God, I just get so mad.
Yeah.
It's definitely his primary pitch.
Yeah, threw a bunch of sliders, but he did go to the fastball in the 9th, and it worked. But, I think he threw 20 sliders in a row. I really do. Anyway, ended up winning that one 9-5. Got a little insurance late from Pennington. Talk about Pennington a little more, guys. Pennington was 9 of 13 on the weekend with 3 home runs and 7 RBIs. He hit a home run in every game of the series. Go ahead, Adam.
Had another one pulled back in.
Yeah. So the guy, you talk about a bat getting hot for you. You talk about a bat getting hot for you and being able to carry you. Man, Pennington was really good. Go through the Saturday game. Not going to talk about it a whole lot. Dom came out, threw the ball well early. It's kind of has been a storyline with him. Second time to the lineup, they began to get to him. He honestly, we all agreed when we were watching it, he pitched good enough to give us a chance to win the game. We get it to I think it was a 3-3 game at one point in that game, and then they busted open, got up 9-3, and I mean, quite honestly, we kind of threw in the towel. We didn't devote any more resources to that one.
Did it ever get to 3-3? I thought it was 6-1 when we had the top of the eighth that the umpires kind of took over with the longer view.
No, I think you're right. Yeah,
and because we had kind of, I hate to use the term punting because I don't think State really does that. But like you mentioned, Frenton, he didn't walk anybody. Like he kept State in a barrel contest with UVA, and it just happened to be a night where they were finding every gap in the defense. They had 11 hits off of him, but he didn't put anybody on base intentionally or with a walk. It was all swings. And then Carson Kelly was actually pretty good. I thought John Morale looked pretty good. And then Lucas and Andrews kind of came in and gave up. They gave up 3 there in the eighth. And that the conversation that would be had around Saturday is Derek Smith didn't pitch this weekend. Ryan Marone didn't pitch this weekend. What if one of those guys had been in there and it was 6-3 going into the ninth instead of 9-3?
Yeah, and the crazy thing about the eighth, if we can replay that. So we had if I'm remembering correctly, we had the bases loaded, right?
Yep.
And we hit a ground ball. I can't remember who hit the ground ball, but anyway, they go it was Butterworth that hit it because he did not get doubled up. He got down the line, but they go to turn a double play in the middle, and I still have not seen any. I guess you can't overturn it if you can't see it, but I have not seen any evidence that he touched the bag on the double play.
We're a victim of a bad broadcast. If there was a normal broadcast and normal camera crews, they had an NCAA lacrosse game going on across the street, and I'm convinced it split their ability to broadcast both games. If there was one more camera angle shooting down from center field to second base, we would have had bases loaded with no outs. Instead, it's runners on the corners, and they got the out at second, which is what it is. And the review took darn near 25 minutes, man.
Forever. And then after they review that, then UVA's coach comes out and asks for a review on whether Butterworth was safe or not. Luckily, that one only took about 30 seconds, and he was called safe. And then later in that inning, Luke Nixon comes to the plate, and he gets ball 4, but it couldn't have been within 4 inches of the zone.
I don't think home plate umpires in college baseball like to allow guys to walk on 4 straight pitches. I can't tell you how many times, I don't know if you guys agree or not, but I've seen so many 3-0 strike calls that are just not strikes, but it's almost like if you throw a quote, get me over fastball that's not over, they just call it a strike. It's happening. Our guys get it too.
Yep.
Whitaker got a couple today, but I don't know. It's a fascinating. I'd be interested if somebody could go find numbers on 3-0 strike calls. I bet it's more often than not.
And all right, so we don't need to talk about that one anymore. Today, though, we came out, guys, and we finally hit on a Sunday. Anybody want to kind of go through that one? Kind of give us. I mean, Pennington, he hit one. It was the one today he hit over the batter's eye, right? Does anybody know how far it went? Like, did they ever see it? Like a number? It was 405 to the center field wall, I believe, and he hit it over the batter's eye.
It was frustrating because I know they had the stats because that darn ball that their 5th run was a solo home run to right field that was a 99-mile-an-hour exit velocity. It looked like a pop fly, and it somehow got over the fence. So they had the numbers. I'd love to see them because that thing did. It cleared the batter's eye in center field. It was smoke.
Nuked. And then Nixon had a triple and a 3-run home run in the back-to-back innings. That's Luke Nixon. And Butterworth hit another home run today early in the game that put us up 3-0, which they stormed right back and scored 4 and took the lead back from us. But, man, today we actually got in a barrel contest. We've talked about that, and we came out on the other side. But I thought the storyline of the day, and I really think offensively the storyline of the weekend was Butterworth and Pennington, and then just the bottom of our lineup in general, and then being able to scrap and manufacture. But Logan Whitaker being back to me is just such a big deal. It just makes Sunday so much more steady. And then on top of that, the other big storyline is Cooper Consiglio is pretty dang good, boys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I forgot what was that stat you threw up, Alex? He's 14 and a third, and he's allowed what was it? 3 earned runs.
14. So against Clemson, UVA. Yeah, Clemson, UVA, and FSU all on the road, all top 10 opponents, 14 and 2/3, 3 earned runs.
That's strong.
It's really damn
8
good.
hits. I think it was 8 hits and
Really
no
good.
extra base hits.
I think that's right. Ethan threw that one out there as well. I think 8. I know 8 hits is right, which is, I mean, so his whips right around 1 or just under 1. If you factor in, I think it's 5 walks.
So now where we're sitting at 5th, what is that? What did they put us at? 15 and 11 in the ACC?
Yep.
And puts us ahead of Virginia in the seeding because they're actually 15 and 12 now. But so what I wanted to talk about was our regional outlook. Now that the dust is settled after another big series win in Charlottesville, we're going to be top 20 in the RPI going into our series with Wake Forest. Honestly, a series that if we win 1 out of 3, we still might advance in the RPI. What do you guys? Are you beginning to kind of maybe feel a little magic there, like we might can host? I'll start with you, Wesley.
Yeah, we go through this every year, and my frustration comes from while we know ECU is a good team, their best series win is against Carolina the first 3 weeks of the season. You know, we've not only we beaten Carolina in the series, we've beaten Clemson, we've beaten Duke, we've beaten Virginia. So we've had in Clemson. Well, I missed one, but anyway, I don't understand it. Then you start looking at Indiana State, you start looking at Santa Barbara and some of these other schools that are in the within the top 16 regional hosts, and you're like, how in the heck is it possible that a committee could look at all these? They could look at a whole body of work and then say, this team doesn't deserve it with a top 5 strength of schedule. I don't see that happening. If we don't get swept by Wake, I don't know, maybe if we get swept by Wake, maybe that's a whole other story, but I don't envision that happening either. So I think we're in a good spot. ECU got swept by Tulsa this weekend.
Tulane.
They lost. I mean, Tulane, they lost the midweek game to Duke. They actually have a midweek game this week with Campbell. Good luck with that. And I think then they have Rice for their series. So, I feel like we're in a really good spot to host. And call me crazy, and I think Alex has been saying this all along. We win the series against Wake. Why would we not be a top 8 seed?
I mean, I'm just sitting here counting a little bit. When you start counting quad 1 games, like we know State strength of schedule is going to end up being a top 5 schedule in the country after playing Wake Forest 3 times next weekend. But State's going to have a top 10 number of quad 1 wins on the season in terms of RPI. And we've only played 9 games in quad 4, which is the 3rd lowest, I think, of the top 20. And you some of these examples you mentioned, Wes, UC Santa Barbara's 19-1 against teams in quad 4. If State played 20 games against quad 4 teams, we would not be 29-19. NC State would have won 45 games. Like, no doubt about it. Like, I threw a tweet out, like, the NC State right now with the health that we have, whatever the circumstances are, however unfortunate it is, playing the what-if game kind of sucks. But with the roster that State can throw on the field this week and the weeks going forward, if no injuries happen, it's a top 10 team. And it's a top 10 team resume-wise, and I really don't think it's arguable.
Adam?
I agree with that. I think it all, we control our own destiny, right? Everything's still in front of us. I mean, I think we win the series versus Wake. Maybe we got to win, our pool in the tournament, which, the nice thing, obviously, about beating Wake, we'd be in number 4 seed. We could, we'd have to win a game, basically, and still advance, and still be able to advance out of the pool as the higher seed. So, if we do those two things, I think there's no question that we're hosting. And the real disservice we've done ourselves is obviously, just absolutely laying the egg in the midweek games. I think the old, we referenced it a few times, they don't hurt you, but they only help you. We have not done anything in those games except for the Coastal game, which Coastal's kind of played their way all the way out of the tournament maybe now. But, we just haven't done anything to help ourselves in those midweek games, unfortunately. And some of it's just, quite honestly, just a few bad breaks. A couple of those games could have gone our way, but hindsight being what it is, if we wouldn't have just lost all those games in the midweek, I think there would be none of these conversations about whether we might be hosting or not. I think the question would be, being a national seed, no question about it.
Yeah, I look at like if you take ECU and you split, that's another win. You take UNCW and you split, that's another win. If you take the UNCG and Campbell and lump them together and you get one of those two, that's another win. And then if you get 1 out of 3 at Georgia Tech, 1 out of 3 at Louisville, then all of a sudden, you're 34-15, and it just kind of looks better on paper. That's before you even play Wake Forest. But I still think, you got a road series win over Clemson. You got a road series win over UVA. You got a split with Florida State that, gosh, you kind of feel like, man, would love to play the third one. And then you got, wins over Duke and UNC, who are, projected as national seeds with Wake on the table. I guess they're saying in pool is ball. You got ball in hand coming to Raleigh this weekend. You kind of control your own destiny, of course. I was looking at just the teams that our listeners are probably, somewhat familiar with, and their strength of schedule and their current RPIs of today on Warren Nolan, which says it's a live RPI, but Wake, who we have coming into town this week, is 9th in RPI, 5th in strength of schedule. NC State is 20th in RPI and 6th in strength of schedule. I actually think we might jump Wake, even though because we're considered the lesser opponent of the two. Yeah. ECU is 12th in RPI now and 53rd in strength of schedule. UVA is 13th in RPI and 28th in strength of schedule. So, when I look at the teams that are projected to host, I think Wake's they've probably already done enough now that they're going to host. But, if you look at ECU and UVA as two teams that we might kind of fight for a host spot. I know ECU's got us twice, but we you feel like if you win a series against Wake, there's no way we don't host, right?
Oh, if you take 2 or 3 from Wake, I think you're talking way more of like position yourself for the
top 8
to 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Wes. I'd kind of jump right there. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, going back to 2022, does the committee even care? Is it just the fans that care about the midweek games, or is it the committee that cares about the midweek games?
I really think it's just. I think they stand out just because of who they were, and I don't think I really don't think they'll matter. I kind of, Adam, you keep saying it. I think it's just the truest thing you could say, that they don't hurt you, but they only help you. And you mentioned the UNCW, the most recent one at home, that dropped the RPI about 6 or 7 spots. If you had that one, are we sitting around 16 or 18 right now? I don't know. But I think the thing that State has to do, I really think I see stuff on Twitter. I've seen people on Twitter recently posting like this weekend finally got State off the bubble. I'm like, have you been watching? I'm like, this is not a bubble team. Like, this is a team that like bubble for top 8 and like going to Omaha at the end of the year. Yeah, maybe. Like the State's really darn good. It's just if you get caught up in some of the Tuesday, Wednesday stuff, which is easy to do because nobody wants to lose to ECU, nobody wants to lose to Campbell. I get that, but that's really where the pitching injuries showed up. And it's unfortunate, but I really do think RPI is the only thing on State's resume that's holding it back. And I don't think that the committee necessarily feels the need to be completely true to like top 16 RPI or the 16 host teams. I think if you can work your way into that top 20, top 22 or so, and then you can start doing some team comparisons. And if, I'm sitting here looking at, I don't know, call it Oklahoma State, who's 34-16, and they're 9-11. They're similar to State. Like that'd be a tough one to jump if they're a little bit in front of you in RPI. But we keep throwing out poor UC Santa Barbara. Like if they're 16 and State's 20, it could be a lot easier, I think, for the committee to slide a game to Raleigh than it would be in California.
And I saw a lot of people fussing today. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Duke was the ACC softball champion and number 4 in the RPI, and they got a 10 seed in the softball tournament. And I think there's a lot of folks upset about that.
Hey, there was a question. I wonder if you guys know the answer to this. Is Duke baseball? I assume the answer is yes, but I wonder the logistics. Are they able to host if they can't do it at the Bulls facility? They got a small ballpark.
Yeah, I know.
It might not matter. They've kind of played themselves out of it a little bit here, but
They play Carolina this weekend.
I think that's right. Yep.
So they could play themselves right back into it.
Yep.
Right.
UNC.
So one of the things I think is interesting, because I mean, almost every one of these projections that have come out the last few weeks from D1 baseball has us with ECU. I will say that I think there is a lot of value if you're going to have ECU in your pool to be the 1C. I think I might have mentioned it to you guys earlier today, but I think, whoever the 1 seed is probably going to save their best arm and not throw them against the 4 seed, where whoever the 3 seed is, I kind of feel like the 2 seed has to throw their best arm. And ECU does have one of the best arms in the country. How do you say his last name? Is it Yesavage?
Yesavage.
Friday, but yeah, he's good. He's first rounder.
He's legit. So I would definitely rather be on the 1 line than the 2 line in Greenville. Plus, I don't think we really want to go to Greenville anyway. We want to host, of course, but yeah. So that's something I've kind of been paying attention to. So talking about, our team that we're going to battle with Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this week against Wake Forest. Before I do that, I wanted to answer a question. Adam got a question from one of our listeners, emailed to him that we kind of overlooked. So I'm going to let Adam answer it too, and then we can kind of go round robin. But basically, it ties in with what we've been talking about with RPI and strength of schedule and midweek games. And the question basically was, with the non-conference opponents that we end up playing in the midweeks being, pretty quality opponents in North Carolina, should we look at maybe scheduling those guys in a 3-game series and, maybe disrupting our current scheduling? Or is the ACC so tough that you don't want to play, a UNCW in a 3-game set or a ECU in a 3-game set? What are your guys' thoughts on that? I'll start with Adam.
I would rather play the in-state quality opponents, than, the Towson's, VCUs. I won't throw Hawaii in there because that was obviously an awesome trip for the guys to get to go. But I would, that there was so much excitement around the ECU UNC series, the way they did it, with the home and neutral site. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, obviously there's, ECU is probably the only team that you could justify a series structured that way with, but I would rather play them in a 3-game series just because of they are rivalry games, and they mean a hell of a lot to those guys that are playing us, right? And, they have to go out there and, pitch by committee and that sort of thing. And I just feel like does it make a difference in recruiting? Probably not. Maybe, a one guy or something every once in a while, but I would rather play them in a 3-game series for sure. I mean, because they are quality opponents, and if we play them early in the year before the conference schedule, starts, then if we were to get swept or something by one of them, is at the end of the day, it's really not going to hurt us that much. The conference games, the conference series are what's going to matter. But you would just have those bragging rights and feel good about a rivalry win, right? So I would rather play them, especially the quality ones. The Campbells, the ECUs, the UNCWs of the world. It would be nice, early on to have some a 3-game set with them, in my opinion, for me anyway.
Alex?
I honestly don't really feel one way or the other about it. Mainly because the ACC is so darn good that it's kind of nice to kind of ease into it's the wrong word. No offense to VCU and Hawaii, who both took a game from state. But if you're not, especially this season, it was tough given the amount of young guys that state's trying to work into the roster and trying to get used to college baseball. The complaint I have more is it's not really a complaint either, but the avoid it. You guys remember how well Mark Gottfried used to schedule for basketball, and he'd always seem to schedule like teams that were in the 100 to 150s in RPI that you were always going to beat, but he always avoided the 300 plus that we seem to play here recently in basketball. Well, that's kind of that's what I would love to see us find a way to do in baseball. So like I feel like Charlotte is omitted from our schedule, and I don't know where they're sitting, around 100, 120 in the RPI. But we played Queens, which is a North Carolina team, but their RPI is 270, 269. Norfolk State, we talked about not. We don't want to talk about that midweek game ever again. I mean, they were 300 in RPI and dropped to 6 spots. Like if we play Charlotte, the RPI probably doesn't change. I mean, heck, Clemson played Charlotte that night and darn near lost to them. So I don't know. I'm like, would I be upset if that opening series next year was UNCW for a 3-game stretch? Heck no. I think that's a cool thing. But like, do I think it's absolutely necessary? No. I'm just, I guess, kind of indifferent. I can talk in circles around that all night.
Wesley?
Yeah. I mean, for me, we're going to throw basketball in. When I get my season ticket schedule, I'm like, what? I'm like, what in the hell have I just bought? Now, with Coach Avent has a top 5 schedule in the United States of America. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a break that he didn't want to schedule East Carolina for 3 games. Now, would I personally, Wesley Wilson, like to see East Carolina and NC State play? Absolutely. Would I like to see NC State, UNCW, and Wilmington at the beach? Absolutely. But before I give Coach Avent a hard time on why aren't we scheduling more in-state guys, I'm going to point the finger at basketball.
That's great.
Yeah, I think, me personally, I'd like to, I wouldn't mind seeing, I don't know, some combination of it. I think you could do a 4-game set and it'd be pretty neat where you had, maybe ECU, NC State, UNCW playing at the same venue.
A little invitational type.
Campbell, maybe invite all 3 of them, make them feel welcome, bring them all to the Doak.
So I don't know. You guys might remember this last year, early in the season, Texas and LSU played like a Wednesday night ball game, and it looked like a darn super regional atmosphere. And it just kind of hit me here, like if State had played ECU on February 28th, when the night they played Queens, so on that Wednesday night, but it's sandwiched between the road trip to Hawaii and Towson, and the Hawaii trip, logistics aside, call it say they had played VCU and then Towson the following week. Like I would be really into that because you can pitch your Friday guy that Wednesday night and not matter for your upcoming weekend. So that like that, the way State got stuck with these midweek opponents this year, there's a reason that they didn't play well since they played Coastal in the middle of March, just with the arm injuries that State was dealing with. If you can run, I mean, when ECU came to Raleigh last year and we ran out Sam Highfield, is a different story than when we ran out Jackson Lucas. No offense to our guy, in Greenville this year.
Yeah, but for me, why? Again, it's coming back to the football standpoint of why. If you look at ECU's resume, the 2 wins against State, or that's going to be their marquee wins, other than North Carolina. Looking at their resume to be to host a super, or be a top 16 seed. So I think for those G5 schools, it comes back to why do we give ECU that opportunity? I mean, their strength of schedule is 60th, and we're hoping we get a regional ahead of them.
Yeah, why give them the platform?
Give them the points. Yep.
Yeah.
Not a bad thought there, Wes.
Not a bad point there, Wes. I like you're being mean, man. I love it.
But other than that, I'd love to play a three game series against ECU, but I don't know how that benefits us a whole lot, I guess. I mean, from our coaches' standpoint, or our program standpoint, from our standpoint, yeah, absolutely. I love drinking beer. Let's do it.
Back to oh gosh, I got to say this right now. It's a lot of pressure. Back to Towson. Towson, is that how I'm supposed to say that?
Towson.
I got reached out to, and I got a complaint from a listener about how I pronounced it Townsend, but it's Towson.
Right in Baltimore.
Anyway, I told him, I said, guys, I am a redneck, and I add a letter here and there and take some away. And the response I got back is that Wesley and Adam are just as big a rednecks as you. So no excuse. So apologies to the folks at Towson University.
I think Wesley and Adam just didn't get a chance to say the school's name.
Took all the air. All right. So before we talk about Wake Forest a little bit, let's talk about our team. What we saw this weekend. I'll tell you what, instead of bringing up anything in particular, we're going to go around. We'll go one at a time. I'm going to start with Adam again. I'll go Adam, Wesley, Alex this time. We'll start with the lineup. If you could change one thing about our lineup, whether it's batting order, personnel, whatever, Adam, what would be something you would like, a change you would like us to make as we prepare for the postseason?
I would like Chase Nixon in the lineup every game somewhere, and I would like Luke Nixon leading off.
Oh, 2 changes. Wesley.
Yeah. Give me Luke or give me Butterworth leading off. I mean, I think today in the latter part of that game when Luke hit that triple, it's like, wow, look what this guy can do. You know, that would have been a double for 95, maybe 90, 99% of other players. He turned into a triple. I think he can make a lot of things happen. That's not a dig at Eli. I'm just not sure that leadoff's the spot. But then again, look at how the bottom of the half of the lineup's performing, and when you're winning, I'm not sure you change a whole lot. So, you know, if Eli's the leadoff guy against Wake on Thursday night, then I'm not going to be disappointed, I guess you would say.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of funny, since the Florida State series started, Eli's actually raised his average 6 points. I think he's kind of fallen victim a little bit to coming up to the plate in some really big spots with runners in scoring position, and his strikeout numbers are not as good as anybody. It's not the best on the team in terms of K rate. So when you strike out in big spots, it gets pretty frustrating. I don't think I touch a thing right now. I don't think I change the mojo. Just keep it pushing. What the bottom of the lineup has done, I'm going to go back and count it, try to find something to put on IPS here this week. But the amount of runners in scoring position that 6 through 9 has turned over to Serrano, Pennington, and Makarevich the past 3 weeks has been, remarkable. Truly, it's been phenomenal.
And so,
shout out Hefner too. Hefner's played really well.
Matt Hefner has been on base 11 of his last 17 at bats.
That is impressive. Yeah, Hefner has been a revelation. Yeah, we heard from someone, me, Adam, and Wesley. We had a guy text us that was real close with the program, and he said that Hefner is a guy that always plays better or always hits better when he plays in the field. And honestly, it seems like there's something to that. And there's a lot of guys, I played with even growing up that are like that DHing ain't for everybody. Some guys, they need to be more involved in the game to get going offensively. But man, Hebner has been he's been a critical piece lately.
I don't know how the heck you calculate WAR, which is what wins above replacement. I think it might be a made up stat sometimes, but if it's real and somebody knows how to calculate it, I'd be shocked if Hebner's not near the top of the team. When you factor in what he gives you defensively with what he gives you small balls, I mean, you have a sack fly today for an RBI, and he's just getting on base. He's working counts, and he's been really freaking good. And we heard Andrew Sanders last year. I don't know if you guys caught it. At some point in the season, it might have been earlier on when Hebner got a little bit of run, but he said that Chris Hart told him that if it wasn't for Geno Groover, Hebner would be their everyday third baseman and probably be the best defensive third baseman in the conference. So they've liked him for a while. He's just been stuck behind. I mean, you're never taking Groover out of the lineup last year.
Yeah.
And the way Luke Nixon was playing early in the year, you weren't going to take him out either. And you weren't going to mess with the DH spot the way it was. And then he got an opportunity at DH, kind of scrap some stuff out, and then is taking extreme advantage of the next man up.
So yeah, I guess the one thing for me I would say is kind of piggybacking off of Adam, and we didn't do it all 3 games this weekend. I don't care if he's not the fastest guy, most athletic guy. To me, Chase Nixon just has to play every day. He just, to me, I know he's not going to hit 10 home runs. I know he's not going to go 4 for 5 with 4 doubles, but the at bats, I feel like that he gives you. I mean, he's got a little gamer in him, man. Like he gets in the box, you feel like if he gets up there in a big spot, and I saw this stat today. This might surprise you guys. He's hitting 355 with runners in scoring position, and Butterworth, who's been really good, actually surprisingly, Butterworth's hitting 195, I think, with runners in scoring position. Definitely not saying we should take Butters out of the lineup. Love that guy, but Chase is just one of those guys that, like, for one, in high leverage situations, pitchers they're just as tense as the batter is. The batter's trying to come through, get a hit. The pitcher is also, when he's dealing with traffic on the bases, he's got a lot going on. And the guy, he just doesn't strike out. Like you're not going to strike him out very often. And
I don't have plate appearances to calculate it perfectly because the state's website only shows at bats. He struck out 9 times in 95 at bats. So you can imagine the plate appearances are probably closer to 100, 105, 110. So that you're talking a K rate sub 8%.
Yeah,
special. I mean, that's really damn good. And eventually those balls are going to be hits. Like,
yes,
250 average can't stay that way if you're not striking out. It's impossible.
So I want to see him in the lineup every day. I mean, I like Alex Sosa as a bat off the bench. He's a guy that can hit one in the trees, but to me, he ain't the guy I want to run out there every day. And I understand what Coach Avent was probably doing. I mean, he's obviously an elite talent, a guy that was offered, $1 million out of high school to go in the draft, and he came to us, and I'm glad to have him in Raleigh, and excited what his career can be. But right now, this team, I want to watch Chase Nixon play every day, and every time he's not in the lineup, I get frustrated. I'm a big Chase Nixon guy. So onto the staff a little bit. Are we kind of all on the same page that we kind of have figured out how we want to manage our rotation and bullpen? I mean, I think we'd all like to see Dom be a little better, or his numbers to be a little better. I mean, he can go out and dominate for long stretches of the game, but I mean, I think is everybody on the same page that Sam, Dom, Witt is? Well, let me give you this question then. So we all say Sam, Dom, Witt. If we get in a regional and we're a 2 seed, say we're a 2 seed in Greenville, and the first game we throw Sam, he beats the 3 seed. Now we got ECU, the 1 seed in game 2. Who you guys throwing, Sam or Dom or Witt?
I'm throwing Logan Whitaker.
Whitaker, 1,000%.
Absolutely,
yeah. And that's not a knock on Dom either. Like I jumped it because I believe in Logan Whitaker that much. I think he's. I mean, I don't even know. Being on IPS, we see some stuff. Some folks get angry sometimes, and they dislike things, and I think people kind of jump to conclusions way too quickly on guys, and that happened to Whitaker last year. I think he was 13 straight scoreless innings to end his season last year against some really darn good teams in postseason play.
Yeah.
And I mean, the dude just competes, and he did he throw 95 pitches today, guys?
I think that's
90
right.
plus 90
I mean,
plus pitches.
I mean, come on, give me that guy. Give me, dude bleeds for it. Like put him on.
Tough.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter what he's got that day. You know, whether he's got his best stuff or his worst stuff. He eats it. He just eats innings and grinds and competes and keeps in games. I love Logan Whitaker.
How many dudes would fall apart? So I thought, just keeping kind of mental track of their second inning. First off, we kind of talked about it. I'm still not sure that ball hit that guy that was up with 2 outs to kind of start that track. I think he gave up 2 hard hit balls, and there's a couple blukes. Obviously, the kind of fluky hit by pitch, and then the next thing you know, you just 4 runs crossed. And how many times have we seen it happen for a State pitcher? Have we seen State do it to a pitcher where that guy just crumbles and now your game's dead because you got to go to your bullpen for 20 plus outs? Instead, Whitaker said, screw it. I'm going to keep pounding the zone. I'm going to make you hit my changeup, and I'm going to give you 5 1/3 on 95 pitches in my first real action back from losing 25 freaking pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, like, not, it's not like he hurt his ankle and he's been like able to lift upper body and get on the stationary bike and keep his wind. Like he couldn't do anything, and he's back. And I mean, geez, that's encouraging.
All right. So out of the bullpen, do you think so? The other night after Sam went 6, do you think that it's who is our first option to close the game? Do you think it's determined by the length of the save opportunity? Is that where we're kind of all at? I mean, I think for one inning, I feel like Derek Smith's our guy, but I think that Duden is the guy that we can extend. Is that how you guys feel?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a pretty darn good chance that Friday night Derek Smith was ready to go, and then State added those 2 insurance runs to make, because it was going into the 8th, and it was 7-3, and I think at that point it's just Duden's game. If it was 7-6, I think there's a pretty darn good chance you see kind of that Villeman to Evan Justice bridge that we got used to seeing. It's a luxury, man. What the bullpen's doing right now. Rewind to when Shane Van Dam popped his UCL and how we were feeling. All of a sudden, Cooper Consiglios decided he wants to be Shane Van Dam and some from the left-hand side. And I don't know, man. I'm excited about it.
And Marone's had a couple of pretty good starts in a row, too.
Yeah.
I was just getting ready to say Marone. I'm so excited about it. I think it's shaping up well for the postseason. I mean, you got to have all of those guys. You got to have pitching, pitching wins in the postseason. And to have those guys, to have that stable of guys now that we do, to be able to bring a Marone and a Consiglio in, behind those 3 starters that we talked about is just absolutely tremendous, especially if we, can get past the regional, then you start to get real excited about the potential that those guys have, because I think, we know offensively that we're capable of scoring a bunch. And if we can, today was a good sign. We finally hit the ball, scored a bunch of runs on a Sunday. And, if we can keep that momentum going and build off of that, man, what we got, the potential we've got in the bullpen is just very, very exciting. That was the word I was getting ready to use, Alex. I'm just absolutely pumped about it.
Today was an awesome example of it. I mean, you could see in real time UVA run out of guys, and we jumped it. And if for whatever reason Consiglio had started to run out of gas, we were just going to hand the ball to Derek Smith, and it was going to be.
That was going to be it.
Yep.
We were going to go home.
Be over. Yep.
And I've heard James talk about before on the IPS podcast that you got to have 4 starters. Guys, we got 5 guys I ain't scared to start.
I'm going to even go as far to say we got 6. I think you could give Jacob Duden the ball for 4 innings. He could start a game if it had to happen.
If you got deep in a postseason series,
if it got weird, like to me, that's like the ACC championship scenario where we've run out of Johnny Piedmont before. no offense to Johnny Piedmont, but that's the game I remember him. I think it was against Florida State. And the year he didn't pitch much. He came back the following year and was actually a pretty good starter for us. But I don't know, like that. You could give him the rock and he could go get it for you.
I'll give you a crazy number from Duden. He threw his 61st pitch the other night, 97 miles per hour.
That's pretty good.
Throw the damn fastball, Chrysler.
Pretty good.
Tell you what, though,
Sorry, Coach.
Pretty good.
Sorry.
That 89, 90 mile. I think he even threw one 90-mile-an-hour slider, though. I mean, goodness gracious.
It's tough.
He just
Look,
absolutely beat. He absolutely.
I
Beats
still don't
Cozart
think there's
up
a left.
back there with it.
Oh my God.
Hang on.
Hey, guys, I still don't think there's a left-handed. There might be 3 left-handed bats in the country that can hit John Morales' curveball coming from the dugout. I mean, that thing's impossible. Like, we got some stuff, and I don't want to get critical, but I don't think Schaffner pitched Saturday. I thought he was in a spot to maybe come in there when it was 6-3, but we put him in on defense because we pitch hit friend of the podcast, Bechtel, and needed to run out of defensive sub. So there's names, there's potential, there's talent. I mean, if we're talking about Schaffner, who can just, jog in as your 9th, 10th guy with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
So tell me this. Like, I heard this stat when I was watching the game the other night. I don't know who does these analytics. If there's somewhere I could subscribe, y'all email us and tell me. I like analytics. But they said, I heard some stat that, like, against Duden, they hit like 3-something against his fastball. Like, I think I heard that number. Am I making things up? But how do you even measure that? The ball's got to be in play for it to even be measurable. I mean, how do you measure that?
Yeah, I said the same thing.
So if I throw 2 fastballs in a row at 98, and then I throw a slider and you strike out, you're hitting 0 against my.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, I asked the same thing.
Sense, does it?
Yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, I think it was like 313.
I didn't think about the
326.
0 part.
Yeah. I'm like, of course they hit 313 against his fastball. He spikes 3 sliders in a row, and then we got to throw it down the middle. Jesus Christ, they're only hitting 300 against it when they know it's coming. That ain't bad.
That's pretty good. I will say, Ethan and I talked about this on our podcast last week. His strikeout ratio, his K rate, however you want to call it, is a little baffling for the stuff he has. In conference,
It is.
19 strikeouts and 18 in the 3rd inning pitch. Like, his stuff is too good to only strike out 1 guy in inning. Like, you see some of these. I mean, like, it's not comparable to like what Chase Burns can throw for Wake Forest. I mean, Burns adds the curveball that Duden doesn't have, and Duden, that'll be his job this offseason to add a 3rd pitch, be it a changeup or a curveball. But I mean, this guy's just striking out, 1.5, 2 plus guys an inning.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned you guys yesterday. His body type reminds me so much of Skeens. He's just tall, loose, but I could have that little earpiece that Cozart wears in the batter's box, and there ain't no chance I'm hitting. I ain't got a chance. I mean, I'm still just baffled about, like, gosh, like, are we just sitting over there in the dugout with our clipboard and we're like, and this guy right here, he's really good against 99, 98, 99. We better throw him the slider. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, at least, like, mix it in a little bit. Like, maybe throw it out of the zone. I don't know. He throws 98. But anyway, I'm sure that every time that our listeners see him throw a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, he gets hit in the stands, they're going to think I'm an idiot. But I've never at any level of baseball seen someone that throws 98, and they're like, his fastball is he throws fastball 17.2% of the time. Guys that throw 98 throw fastball 75% of the time. But anyway, yeah, like you said, Alex, if he does figure out a 3rd pitch, I mean, whew, his career at State he's going to put up some numbers because, I mean, that stuff is just electric. All right, let's talk about Wake a little bit this weekend. Have some numbers for the Deacons. Deacons are going to be coming in at 36-16. They have now hit 100 home runs. They have I guess they got what is it 2 projected top 10 picks in their lineup? I think Kurtz is a
Kurtz and Burns.
Kurtz.
Yeah.
They
Well,
got Kurt.
I think Seaver King's a first round type talent, but those two are definitely pitcher, third base.
Only hitting 288 as a team. I say only 288. That's not, like it's absolutely terrible. I think we're hitting 283 now after today, but they're hitting 288 as a team. They've struck out 439 times compared to our 306 times. I am glad we're playing them in the dope. Did you guys?
Clown. 302 feet home run.
Yeah, did y'all see that one?
Did not.
Yeah, my man straight up thought he popped one up against Clemson. They beat Clemson in that game. It was a 4-2 final, right?
That was the difference.
He had a 2-run home run that went 302 feet.
Shoebox.
They are 10-8.
Shoebox.
They're 10-9 away from home. There's a reason. Just saying.
I mean, they definitely recruit to the ballpark that they play in, because they got a lot of guys that hit it at the ballpark. They've hit 110 doubles. I mean, in doubles that ain't because of the park. Hell, it's probably even harder to hit a double when you probably hitting seeds off the wall and right. That's only 300 foot away, but they've hit 110 doubles, 10 triples, 100 home runs, slugging .531. So, I mean, really, really good offensive team. And then, even as good as they are offensively, probably the headliner is Chase Burns, who is how hard is he? I mean, he's what 98, 99? Is that right?
Yeah, he was like 101, 102 this weekend. He's humming.
So he's triple digits as a starter. Oh yeah. So he's a 2.85 ERA, 10-1 overall, 82 innings pitched, 156 strikeouts. So we will get we will actually get to see if all that talking we do about being the team that strikes out the least in the ACC, we'll get a good measuring stick when we go up against Chase Burns. After Burns, they have Josh Hartle, Josh Hartle was unbelievable last year. He struggled a little bit this year. He's got a 5.32 ERA, but he's still on 64 innings for him. All his numbers are down year over year, but still he's a guy that they project long term to probably be a high draft pick. And then, a team ERA of 5.06. So what do you guys think? Make of Wake Forest? I think we both know they're a really good team. I've told a lot of people friends that have asked me, I still think Wake Forest is the most probably talented team in the league, especially on paper. What do you guys think about this weekend, our chances on a senior day weekend at the Doak to get a series from the Deacons? Oh, I'm supposed to ask someone. Don't go all at once. Alex.
So it's funny. Josh Hartle and Dom Fritton kind of have had a similar kind of trajectory, right? Where they were really, really good last year, getting some All-American buzz. Hartle was an All-American, I think, preseason, and struggled. He's a Peyton Green rule. He's a 7+ ERA in conference. Fritton's at where is he? So far, 8.55. But the batting average against for Fritton's at 269, and Hartle's batting average against is 337. So he's given up a lot more. That's tough. I mean, that's a big number. And Burns is the antithesis of that, right? He's 161 batting average against in conference, 292 ERA. They got some good guys they can run out of the bullpen too. That have thrown 15+ innings, hovering around 20 with some good ERAs. But their starting staff does suffer after Chase Burns, and he's every bit as advertised. Like he is very, very good. He's a 3-pitch guy. Call it a 4-pitch guy, but he's really going to be a 3-pitch guy, and it's tough. I will say, and I think we've actually talked about it before. Left-handed lineup that State runs out there is favorable here. Like this is the week that it's going to be a plus for us after having seen. I think, but the guy that will stand out to me for the rest of the season is that State was able to push runs across on Santucci for Duke without getting a hit. You got to get hits against Burns, but if you can beat that guy, you can beat Chase Burns, who's better than Santucci. But I think you got to run the count up My camera's going nuts.
I agree. Wesley, what do you think about the series?
I agree with Alex. First of all, I want to say the hell with Wake Forest. I don't like Wake Forest, never have. Uh, but like Alex said, you know, for whatever reason, on Friday nights we seem to have fared well against the Friday Sooners. And guess what? It's senior night at the day. So, I think there's going to be a little added juice, a little added momentum again for our guys. So, why not us?
Why not us? Adam?
I agree with Wes. I say the hell with Wake Forest. They have had our number at so many daggone things as of late, it seems. And I really just feel like we're due against them. Like we're due to win something that matters against them, and this really really matters. I do think if we can find a way to win on on Friday, then the series is ours, and I'm gonna be looking for the sweep. I really feel strongly about our chances on Saturday and Sunday for sure. I'm glad. Do they have a midweek game this week?
Friday and Saturday. No, I think we're just Thursday, Friday, Saturday, both of
Yeah,
us.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
But does Wake have a midweek? They don't.
I don't think they do.
Okay.
They might
I'm
though.
excited.
I want to check now. I don't want to lie to our listeners.
They play Liberty.
Oh, they play Liberty, the Flames,
Ooh, okay.
Tuesday night.
So
Go Liberty.
yeah. So I'm excited for how much rest our staff got. We didn't even throw D-Rock this weekend. And Marone and others. So I think that sets up favorably for us coming into this week. I'm glad that we don't have a midweek. So, I mean, I would be really happy about winning 2 out of 3, obviously, against a team like Wake, preseason number 1. But if we do win, if we find a way to win Friday night, I'm gonna be anxious and looking for the sweep for sure.
If we win Friday night, we should be top 8 seed.
I just don't know how if you can win this series against Wake with all the series that we won. Like, come on. I think at home we're going to be a tough out. I like what Alex said too about the left-handed bats. That this is somebody I think that we can line up against. I think that we're going to put the ball in play probably a little bit more. When you got guys like Wake has had that they're running out there that are just putting up these insane strikeout numbers. If we can resemble ourselves this weekend and put the ball in play a lot more than maybe they're used to. Put a little game pressure on them. I like our chances. Earlier in the year, I would not have picked us to win a series against Wake Forest, but now that we've beat Clemson, UNC, Duke, UVA, split with Florida State, I feel like we can go toe to toe with anybody, and we got them at home. So,
hey, Burns threw 17 strikeouts this weekend. It ain't happening again. In no way.
Yeah, he's due.
He's due. He's due.
Due to get barreled up.
He's due.
So, no, I like our chances. Before we get off of here, one, we got a lot of y'all probably noticed by now. We have made up a lot of nicknames for the players. So if any of the players don't like the nickname we give them, we call Derek D-Rock. We call Butterworth Butters. We call Whitaker Wit. Let us know. We'll call you by whatever name you want us to call you by.
Is there beef with Baby Nixon? That's the
one.
Oh
Yeah, Baby Nixon.
That's the one you got to be careful. That's
Baby Nixon might, we're not trying.
After that home run today, I think Baby Nixon might have graduated up to something. He might be close to Senior Nixon after today.
Yeah. So whatever you want us to call it, whatever you want us to call you. And then the other thing, we need some more followers. Adam's doing pretty good on our X and Twitter page, but we still haven't eclipsed 1 million yet. That was our goal when we started this thing. I think we're somewhere around 184 right now, and half of those are like random like OnlyFans bots. I think that they're following us because of Wesley. I don't know. I have no evidence of that, but we do get some random followers that I do know for a fact they're not fans of Pack baseball. But no, we'd love to have you follow us on @PackHomerPod on Twitter or X, also on Instagram. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we appreciate your 5-star rating. And we've had a lot of fun doing this. I think I speak for all of us when I say that I hope we got about 5 or 6 more left up in us this year, and not just 2 or 3. Hope we have a long, extended postseason. Also, if you want to send us some questions for next week, I think next week should be an interesting podcast. We'll get to talk about the ACC tournament and that coming up. And if there's anything that kind of gets delayed with the tournament brackets getting set or whatnot, I don't anticipate that, but we might wait and do it Monday night. But I'd imagine we'll have it out next Sunday night for your Monday morning commute to work. But appreciate you guys joining us. Anything you guys want to add for our shutter down?
Good.
All good, Adam, Alex.
All good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, we're gonna try the music, boys. Go Pack.
Go Pack.
Go Pack.
Thank you, Alex.